Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Disruptive Franchise Podcast. Today, I am joined by previous judge and very special guest, Christina from Popolo Ceramico. Hello, Christina.
Hello, are you all right?
Yeah, you good?
I am very good. How are you?
Awesome, really awesome. I'm really excited about this chat because obviously I love what you do, but you were one of our judges on Disruptive Franchise Awards last year. And I think you've got quite an interesting business. So tell us a little bit more about Popolo.
Okay, so my name's Christina and I run Popolo Ceramico, which is a personalised ceramics franchise business specialising in baby and children's hands and footprints. And we also do a lot of pet prints now as well, which is great. So I started the business back in 2010 when I had my daughter. Back then I was working as a project manager for BT and I had my daughter, and as what happens to a lot of us, we realised that we can't go back to our corporate careers. And so I decided to do something else. And I've always been really creative, really artistic. And I had a look around and I couldn't really find any ceramics that were really stylish. And there was people sort of doing prints, but it was really targeted at the children's market rather than targeted at adults. And I love interior design, so I wanted really nice pieces that you could display in your house that looked really nice. So that's essentially how I started. And I've got a little kiln at home, started on my kitchen table, made some pieces for myself, started making pieces for friends, then their friends, and baby groups invited me in, and it just kind of exploded.
Love it. I absolutely love it. It's nearly every franchisor that I talk to here, because we talk predominantly about lifestyle. It's always like, I couldn't find what I needed, so I had to go and do it for myself. And that innovation's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Ironically, if there had been a franchise set up, I think I would have quite happily taken on a franchise and not had all of the huge amount of hassle that I had setting the business up in the first place. But obviously, it just didn't exist.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And you've grown really rapidly as well over the years. So tell us a little bit about what that growth journey's been like for you.
We have, yes. So we have 30 franchisees, but some of the franchisees have multiple territories. So we cover 64 franchise territories. A couple of years ago, I bought my competitor out,
Amazing.
which really expanded our growth. So we got another 12 sort of members from that, 12 franchisees, which was brilliant because we then had one giant team. So there was only two of us doing this, myself up in the northeast and another lady down in Essex, and she moved to France. So she contacted me to see if I wanted to buy her business, and it just made sense. We didn't have any overlapping territories or anything like that. And as I say, we just work as one big team. So what we did was, rather than me going, right, you're working under this brand now, we kind of took the best of what they did, their best products, the best products that we did. We kind of like used both of those. So they used to sell like a lot of clocks, for example. We never sold clocks, but we've added that into our range and just zhuzhed it up a bit and made it more popular. So it works really well.
I love that. I really do. I think sometimes I've seen it go very wrong with franchise acquisition as well, where the culture fit's just been completely alien, or the franchisees really haven't taken kindly to the fact that the franchise has been taken over. So actually that's such a huge success story.
Yeah, yeah. It's been great, and honestly, like from the franchisees that we've got on board are fantastic, and they all get on really well. So it's really good.
It's amazing. And I guess also, if they were based in Essex and you're up in Newcastle,
Yeah.
like, great that there was no overlap, but also a really amazing way for you to then spread that brand down. Because I think what I see a lot of franchisors really struggle with is like, I've got this brand and we've kind of mushroomed out, but now how do I then get to other parts of the UK? And actually, you've done it through acquisition, really, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You tend to have like flurries of, so if it's a real shame because what normally happens, and I've heard this from a lot of franchisors as well, and basically if somebody starts a business, let's say I took someone on in Manchester, and what happens is loads of people will see them in that territory and contact me and say, I want a franchise in the same area. And of course, you can't sell them the same area. So you offer them other areas, but they don't want that. They want that exact area. And it's really difficult.
Really funny, isn't it? I've spoken to a lot of franchisors and some that I'm working with at the moment, about, in terms of strategy wise, going to an area where you want a franchisee and just opening the business. So opening it almost as like a management franchise from head office. So like a really good example is like at Daisy First Aid. Like we've got really great franchisees north, we've got amazing coverage south, but like kind of in the middle is for a while was like a bit no man's land. And so it's that kind of discussion, well, how do we get there? We need to grow the demand for it. But like you say, as soon as you put a franchisee in, that's what people want. So a lot of franchisors at the moment are considering and have actually actively started to do what I've seen, to like just go and do like a pop-up class, particularly in children's activity. And it's that like, okay, got to take on the travel, or you know, how you like staff it is the challenge, but it actually works really well. Really well.
Yeah. It's good. Do you know what? We have tried it. You've reignited this for me because we work with John Lewis. But we can only go into branches where we've obviously got franchisees. And there's an amazing branch in Cheadle. I don't know if you've ever been into John Lewis in Cheadle.
Oh,
It's amazing. So when you're in Manchester, you'll have to pop in. They have got the biggest John Lewis, and it's just amazing. So we actually had a franchisee from York was covering, and now we've got a franchisee who's in Manchester who's covering Cheadle. But we really want to get a franchisee in Cheadle, so we have done that. But actually, we've trialed it in Nottingham and a few John Lewis's, but we really need to get that up and running again because it is a good way. We did have a lot of inquiries when we did that.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Just that little spark of an idea can really change the strategy, which that's what I love about business, really. But yeah, amazing. Tell us about your name, because Popolo Ceramico is quite unique, isn't it? How did you come to
Yes.
that news? Because I always think, right, naming anything is the hardest thing.
Yeah. So basically, I wanted something that was really different because, as I say, with my brand, we target parents rather than children. It's really stylish, something that looks really classy. So I didn't want to have sort of like a kiddie friendly name. Like you get a lot of ceramic cafes that have got really like paint yourself potty, paint yourself this, paint yourself that, which is fine because their market is children. But for us, I wanted to have something that was aimed at parents. And Popolo Ceramico is basically loosely sort of based on population in Italy. So it's sort of like pottery for the people. That was the kind of way I was going. And I also really liked the idea that if you put it into Google, nothing else really came up. So
Yeah.
I did like the idea of just starting a brand from scratch. No, I was advised against it because people were like, nobody's going to have a clue what you do. And I said, but eventually they will. Eventually we'll be a household name. It'll be great. Now, obviously, we're in John Lewis, so it's like, woohoo, look, there's a picture of my face on a poster in John Lewis.
Well, every business owner wants, let's face it. The distribution of John Lewis is awesome. It's a funny one, isn't it? I completely agree with you. Like it's so like I said, I can come up with the most intricate strategies in the world. As soon as I've got to name something, I'm like, it's horrible, it's really hard. But I think what your name does with you is kind of suggest like a premium as well, if I'm honest with you, because it does sound grown up. It doesn't sound like I'm going to take my kids to it. And it sounds interesting enough that I'm going to search for it and find out what it is as well. So I love the names that you came up with.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And you said there as well that you diversified into pets. Tell us about what drove that decision, because I know you are a beloved dog owner yourself.
Yeah.
And what we see in franchise trend wise is that the pet market is exploding. So commercially it makes sense, but how did you get there?
Absolutely. So we started, obviously, I'm a huge, huge dog fan. I've got a rescue dachshund I absolutely adore, who's got longer legs. So instead of not being able to get on the sofa, she can actually jump over the sofa, which is very unusual for a dachshund. But yeah, she's lovely. But yeah, so obviously we had a lot of success. We really concentrated and niched down on the prints for the babies. You know, that's what we're known for. But people were coming in and they were like, oh, can you do this with my dog as well? People wanted prints with the baby and the dogs. And we thought, actually, why don't we do dogs? And I think it was about 2 summers ago, the Newcastle branch had 2 events running, one for babies, one for dogs. And actually, they made more money at the dog event, which was really unusual. So you can really start to see that actually people are really starting to spend on their pets.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many, I know you know lots of them as well, but there's so many pet related services popping up, and to see them kind of coming into the franchise world is wonderful, actually, I think. And I think it's a real reflection of how people's lives changed over, even like COVID. Everyone I know got a pet during COVID and things like that. So it's really nice actually, I think, because I don't know if you get this as well, but like having been very immersed in children's activity, to see that almost happening with pets as well. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We've gone online now as well. So once we had Popolo Ceramico, we've also gone online and we've got Popolo Digital as well, because we're finding that people who moved away and wanted other orders done, if we didn't have a franchisee in that area, they could still get them online. They don't get the full experience. So, when they come and see one of the franchisees, they will get like a full-on service. We chat to the kids, we chat to the babies, we go through all the print options, we go through all the colours. It's like a real experience from start to finish. But the online version does give us the opportunity to, if parents want to get additional items that match the first child's items, but there's not a franchisee locally, they can still go and get similar items online, which has been really popular.
That's really clever because, yeah, like it sounds awful as well. A twin mum. So I had a single baby first, and that was really easy. We could do all the photos and the prints. Oh, we could do everything. It was so easy. And then when we had twins next, like all of that's like swimming really hard. There's no underwater photos of my boys because we didn't do the photo shoots because it was really hard. So yeah, that's really clever. And like,
Yeah.
so you gone.
Oh yeah, I was going to say. So yeah, you can just order as multiple ones, so it's much easier.
Brilliant. And like, so it sounds like innovation and growth has been really important in your business. When you set out to in that like kitchen table with your like kiln at home, did you ever imagine that this is what it would become?
Do you know what? Always remember when I got the logo designed and I went to see the guy who designed my logo, because I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do this properly. I'm gonna get a professional in. And I went to see the guy and he had loads of like different designs, and I saw the Popolo Ceramico one and I'm like, I have to have that with the red. It was just perfect and it stood out. And he's like, oh, brilliant. And he went away and I had another meeting with him. And when I went back, he had Popolo Ceramico, but next to it, he had a pink version with Popolo Bambino. And then he had a green version and a blue version. And he had all of these different, and I absolutely loved it. And I remember thinking then, that's it. I don't know how it's going to diversify, and I didn't at the time, but I knew that I wanted to have all of these different options. So now we've got Popolo Ceramico, which is the red version. We've got Popolo Digital, which is like the sort of the green version, and then we've got Popolo Kilns, which is great because I also like a lot of people come to me for kiln advice as well, and I sell a lot of kilns. So we've now got the three tiers, as it were, which was obviously 16 years ago when I went into that guy's office, was kind of what he showed me. And I was like, I have to have that.
I love that. It's important to think big. I speak to a lot of franchisors and they're like, no, like it just started off my little thing. But I love it when I speak to a franchisor who's like had the vision right from the start. I knew that actually I didn't know what it would become, but I knew it would become bigger than me. And I think that's so important to inspire people that way, I think. So yeah.
Yeah. I
I
think
think that
if you've got
journey.
a product that sells and you know that people want that product, then it's going to work. It's just a case of getting the marketing right. That's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. What areas of investment would you say have been the most important? So marketing there for sure, like for your personal growth as a franchisor and how that has impacted your franchise. What's been really important for you to do?
Marketing, without a doubt. I'm quite lucky because I've got a sales background. So when I was at BT, I was a sales manager, sales trainer, sales coach for a long time. So it's been absolutely brilliant. So that's essentially how I've always run my team. And I've always been able to really help them with the sales and marketing side of things. So for me, sales and marketing is really important. I think now more than ever is having sales funnels and having automation. Like that has just changed my life, like for the better. So I know, Stacey, we've talked about this before where I've mentioned that we use the WhatsApp automation, which has been a game changer for us. I think what happens now is people like to they like to binge watch, like with Netflix and things like that. So previously, if somebody had contacted me about a franchise, they would get emailed the franchise brochure, and then they would probably get a follow-up from me a couple of days later. Whereas now, if somebody inquires about a franchise, they get the brochure on WhatsApp, they get a video, they get a webinar, they get all of this stuff that they can just binge and then find out all of the information straight away at their fingertips and think, is this for me or not?
Yeah, I think that's really important. So massive marketing geek, as you know. And ironically, so while you were sales at BT, I was in the marketing department at BT, which always makes me laugh when we chat. In completely separate locations, we had no idea. But, and this obviously lights me up. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my face. If you're listening, beaming. But I also think like from a binge point of view, you have an opportunity there, like you've just described, to give them so much information before they make a decision to get on a call or not, that they can be educated in what a franchise is and whether it's right for them, so that you're not wasting time with somebody not showing up because they don't really know if it's for them or that. And I think that's so exciting in franchise at the moment.
It's honestly, it's game changing. And I think it is so important because I know if I have a phone call with somebody, they already have sort of research, they've done, they've read all of the stuff, they've looked at all the videos, and so they've got a good idea about how it works. And so when they speak to me, their questions are sort of, they've had a chance to think about it. So the questions are really important. Whereas beforehand, they would be asking me questions that would be all in the information that I would
Yeah.
send them later, so it was kind of like the wrong way round.
Yeah, it's almost like you have the call too early and therefore they don't really know enough. And then they have to go away and research and it just draws everything out and reduces the conversion rate. Whereas now we've got so much power at our fingertips, because not just that we can WhatsApp them and bypass the inbox because we know that email rates are falling in terms of the open rate, but also to be able to give them this really rich media experience, I think is beautiful, really, because I think, like, as an early franchisee myself, it was so hard to visualize what I would be doing and what it would look like and how it would feel. Whereas actually, when you can sit and watch a really like good, and by video, like workshop, brilliant, discovery. We used to do like discovery days where people come to you. Now we can do it all online. And what I find when people have been through that kind of recruitment process already, marketing wise, is that not only can they tell you about the franchise, which is brilliant, the questions that they're asking, they're picturing themselves as the franchisee already. And that is half the sales battle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is, I am really honest with people. I don't take on the wrong people. I really do ask them a lot of questions to make sure that it's going to be right for us and right for them. And if they do speak to me, which happens sometimes, I get on a call with someone and it becomes clear that actually they do want to work flexibly, they do want to work around their children, but actually my franchise isn't right for them. In which case, I've got some amazing franchisor friends who've got amazing franchises, and I'll ask them more questions and I'll point them in another direction and say to them, do you know what? I don't think this is the right franchise for you. However, speak to such and such, as I think this will be a better fit.
Definitely. And we're both part of that really nice same network of franchisors that do that. How has that helped you as a franchisor being a part of a group like that?
It's amazing. I think, it can be very lonely. It can be very lonely working for yourself, as you know, Stacey, especially when you're really busy. I'm part of the Best Franchises, which is basically a group of franchisors where we all sort of help each other out. As I say, we all sort of pass on franchisees that we think would be more beneficial to them rather than ourselves. Also, if anything happens and we haven't come across it before, any problems we don't know how to deal with, somebody in the group will have been through it. And so it's really, really good. It's been really helpful. And also we share tips about what's working. As you know yourself, with marketing, things can move so fast. Social media, like 3 years ago, say, people would see a Popolo video about franchising and they'd watch it for 2.5 minutes. The video, no problem. Now it's so quick. I've had to cut my videos down to 30 seconds and squeeze it all in there, get them out as reels because that's how people work.
Yeah, the attention is the highest premium at the moment, is what they say. Like, it's not the money, it's not the time, it's the attention. And if you can't grab that quick enough, you've lost that opportunity. It's crazy. What I love about being in that group is that, like you said, there's such a willingness of sharing. And I find this in the wider community as well. But like, if someone does something and they've worked on it and they've perfected it, then we'll all jump on a call and be like, oh, let's have a look then, and see it and talk through the benefits. And that's what I love. I love that, because that is true innovation. not just being kept for yourself and held tight, but actually to benefit others.
And I think that's a big thing. I think sort of like, 10 years ago even, people were very secretive about what they would give away. I just don't think it's like that anymore. I mean, I do know, like with us, like people do come and speak to me, and then they can phone any of the franchises and speak to any of them about what it's really like. And people do that. And I think that's good because, you know, they're getting an honest opinion about what it's like.
Yeah, I think it's really important to be able to say to a franchise prospect, go and contact any one of our franchisees. I love that about Daisy First Aid, to be able to say, I can give you ones that are like you. These have got like similar
Yeah.
backgrounds. Go have a chat with them, but also contact any of them. There's no secret bad ones. They're all amazing. And I think that's so wonderful. It's such a testament to your franchise, isn't it, when you can do that confidently?
It is, absolutely. Although I did have one franchise inquiry. She didn't end up buying a franchise in the end. And I think she literally phoned everybody on the team. And she just kept coming backwards and forwards. And I think she loved the idea. And sometimes, you will have had this. Sometimes you get someone and they really, really want to do it, but they're just so frightened to take that leap. And it's such a shame. Like, she might even come back now because, like, you want to say, just do it. Just do
Yeah,
it.
just do it. You'll love it.
Sometimes it's just the fear, isn't it, of trying something new
Yeah.
that holds people back. But at the end of the day, this is something that I'm so passionate about. You get one life, like go and live it. Like I talk in schools now. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, Stacey, but I go into schools for careers day because when I was at school, like literally, our careers advice was horrendous. Like we have HMRC here in Newcastle, huge building. So if you weren't going to go to university and you didn't know what you wanted to do, the careers advisor would be like, "Why don't you go and get a job in HMRC?" That was your two choices: either go to university, work it out yourself, or go and work in HMRC. That was your two choices. And I just thought, you know what? This is just it's a bit pants, isn't it? So now what I do is I go into high schools when the careers day's on, and they've got all of the usual things. They've got all the colleges, they've got the universities, they've got all of the like the police and the army and those kind of things. And then there's me. And I'll go in and I don't actually push my franchise, but what I'll do is I'll speak to the kids and I'll say, "What do you like doing?" They go, "I like playing football." Okay. Did you know that what you could do when you leave school is you could be a football coach? You could get a franchise, and what you could do is they'll teach you exactly how to run a football school, and you could do that every day teaching kids. And I'm like,
CBI.
wow, like nobody's ever told me that. And I could speak to somebody else. "What do you like doing?" "You like baking." Did you know that you could get a franchise where you can actually teach kids how to cook and you can do, and they're like, "What?" And it just, if you could just change the mindset of like a couple of those kids where you can really, they're probably not going to go down the same route as a lot of the children will, but if you can just introduce them to new ideas and entrepreneurship, I just think it's such a good thing to do.
It's so important. I think as well, like, I won't bash the school education system. That's a whole nother podcast. I think back to when I was at school. So I'm like mid-40s now, and we were told go get a job. And I remember saying to my the careers advisor was the librarian because they had this massive folder of jobs to pick from. And I remember saying to them, like, I'm going to go to university, I'm going to study marketing. And they were like, "What's that?" "Well, it's like creative business, basically." And they're like, "Well, why don't you do business?" Like, "Well, I'll do that as well, but I'm passionate about, I think, what marketing is." And they just have a clue. They were just so like, "Well, what are you going to do with that?" I'm like, "I don't know yet. I'm excited." And it's great. And like, I look at that, like, versus with my kids. And now the secondary school is really proud because they don't just talk about careers in years like 10 and 11. They talk about from year 7, like, as they should. And when we did the open day, when my daughter was looking around secondary schools, I said, "Oh, do you talk to the kids about franchising?" And she's like, "Oh, no." It's like, "Why not?" She's like, "Well, I don't know anything about it." I'm like, "Okay, give me a call." I think we do. We need to talk to the younger generation because there's so much inspirational stuff out there that just isn't talked about. And franchising, like anyone who follows me on socials, this is like my thing. I think we should be getting more kids excited about the options that they've got that are not just go to GCSEs, go to university after, and like follow the linear pattern, because I've got at least two of my kids that will never do that. So there's no way they're going to sit in university and study and get a job. But one of them really likes swimming. They could be a swimming instructor at a franchise. The other one's really creative. He could do anything he wants, really. But, maybe he gets a franchise where he gets to like do crafts and stuff. Like,
Popolo franchise. Popolo
yeah,
franchise.
maybe each franchise coming in. But yeah, we should. And I love that you go and do that because it's the only way I think that we can get that message out there is to be passionate and be on the ground.
Oh, 100%. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things to do. I just love coding. And obviously, I'm really sneaky at taking loads of sweets. So I look so popular. And I know that the kids are only coming over for the sweets. However, they have to then stay and listen to
As
me.
much
I've got them then. I'm like the blooming child as such. I'm like, come and get the sweets. Listen to me talk about franchising. But I think you've got to do it in such a way that it's not going to bore them. So find out what they're interested in and you go in that way,
Yeah.
which is great. It's quite funny because obviously you've gone into marketing. So my daughter, she's 16 now. And when she was younger, right, when you would go to different clubs, she would always want to go to different clubs just to get the outfit and then she'd quit. So she'd go to judo, get the outfit, and then quit. She'd go to dancing, she'd get the outfit and quit. Gymnastics, everything. Like the amount of outfits she had is unbelievable. And eventually I did twig that all she cared about was getting the outfit. And now she's 16 and she's actually going to go to college and do fashion marketing. And it's just perfect for her. Like it fits so well with how she's been her whole life.
Yeah, she's always had it in her. It's funny, isn't it? My parents used to say that about me. I'd go and start stuff. I'd be there for about 6 weeks, get all the uniform and stuff, and then just never go back. And my kids have started that same pattern, actually, I will say. But I think whatever you end up doing, it's in you already, isn't it? Like, I don't think like you
Yeah,
can shape the guys and what you do it in. Like, we've both worked in corporate in sales and marketing, and probably loved it at the time that we've done it, and now couldn't think of anything worse. But actually, it's that creative outlet or that like communications outlet. I think was what led us into what we do now.
absolutely, absolutely. I remember when I first went into it, I hated it. Like literally, I absolutely hated sales. I remember going in and telesales. People used to turn their nose up at telesales, but actually what I learned doing telesales, like people couldn't teach you that. You have to be on the floor and you have to be in the trenches, as people say, doing it. And I used to go in and I used to come home crying, saying, people would phone me up. Like I was at the BT call centre at the time, and people would phone me up, say I'm moving house. I would get them on that call and off that call as quick as I could. Like I hated it. But then I started to realise, like, there was people making some serious money, and I'm like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And I thought, you know what? At the time, sorry, Stacey, I've gone off on a massive
I
tangent.
do, I love it.
But at the time, I was working 3 jobs. So I was working in a funeral directors, which, as you can imagine, was a little bit grim. So I was working there on a weekend. I was also working in the flower shop as well for the funeral directors. I was also working at BT at the time. So I was working 3 jobs. And I thought to myself, do you know what? If I get good at sales, I can give up 2 of my jobs and just do this. And then I can get my weekends back and start going out. Because obviously I'm from Newcastle. We love nothing more than going out partying here. So what I did was, at the time there was no Google. So I went to the local library, as you did, and I got loads of books on how to sell it, all the books that I could possibly do, and tried to learn as much as I could. And I started going in early. And instead of having a chat and a cup of tea with Brenda, I would listen to the calls from the best sellers, and I would find out what they were doing that I wasn't doing. And actually, that really, really helped because at the end of the day, I was taking like, what, 50 calls a night or something like that. So it didn't matter if I cocked it up a few times because you could just keep trying and keep trying. So what I noticed was they weren't getting people on and off the phone as quick as they could. They were asking them loads of open questions and they were trying to sell them as many products that they thought would be beneficial to each person. The second I started doing that, my sales skyrocketed. And actually, I thought, you know what? I'll really enjoy this. And so it went from something that I hated and felt really uncomfortable about to actually forcing myself to do it and actually then started to enjoy.
I
Have
love
I gone
that.
off on a massive tangent? I have, haven't
No,
I?
I love because this is all the insight to you, and that's what we want. That's what our listeners absolutely want. It makes me think of a book. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's by I think it's Brian Tracy, like old school sales books. You've
Yeah.
probably read that one about being in the 1%. What does the 1% do that nobody else does. And I think that's applicable in so many situations. But I think the other thing that what you've really described there is that resilience was built in that call center, right? Like the resilience that you've had to be franchisor, business owner, do all these things, that's built on rejection. We have to have rejection somewhere in our lives to be able to tolerate getting the no's to get to the yeses. And I hear people in sales talk about this all the time about like every no leads to your next yes. But most people have never had that level of rejection to actually be all right with it and sit comfortably with it. Whereas I bet if you're in a call center like that, I used to work in a bank and I was on the desk at the bank and there were these two guys that were about my age as well, but they were sales reps. And so my job was to get people in, see that they've actually got like tens of thousands of pounds stashed in their accounts that on a really crappy savings rate, and call over like the sales team, like, these people here, VIP, and so like that was it was a crappy job because I couldn't get a marketing job, but it was a really interesting skill set to learn in terms of spotting the opportunities and working with the sales team, and seeing how much money they made. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, God, when I was like 18, I bought my first house. I was going on holiday 3 times a year, like, car, everything. It was like, it was unbelievable. It was really good. So, it does, and those traits I've used throughout my life.
Yeah,
They stay with you.
they do. And I don't know about you, but when I'm speaking to like prospective franchisees, I wish they'd had that kind of experience to just have that, because like you say, most people, if they're the right fit, you're never going to convince them. You're never going to chase them if they're not, but if they're the right fit, but they're just lacking that jump of faith,
Yes.
that's the thing that you wish that they'd had, that bit more resilience, that bit more trust in themselves. And I think this is also in franchising, to like bring it back full circle, like why we see some franchise prospects come in and have a chat with us and be all excited and then go cold. And then they come back like a year, 2 years later, because
Yeah.
they've had to go away and build that thing in them that wasn't quite there, wasn't quite ready. It's my own little
Yeah.
tangent.
But you do see that all the time. And I do get franchisees who come on board and they literally inquired years ago.
Yeah. The long tail nurture. That's where it is. Yeah. Because
It's true,
yeah,
but
it's
it's good
gold.
because if you don't want somebody to come on if they're not ready. You want to know that they've really thought it through and that, this is right for them and obviously right for you as well. So it does definitely work both ways.
When I work with new franchisors, what I see is they'll say, "Oh, right, where are your leads at this week?" And we'll sit and we'll have a chat and we'll kind of look and say, "Well, there's this one woman and she likes all my videos, but she hasn't like done the inquiry form. Like, she just needs a bit more time. Like, so she will." Or there's this one guy and he's commented on stuff and he's liking stuff, but he hasn't like opened the emails. Like, he'll get there. Don't worry. Like, these are people going through huge thought process, isn't it? You're not popping out to buy a loaf of bread and you'll get a new one tomorrow. This is a life-changing thing to buy a franchise. And I think we sometimes have to give it that um, respect of consideration that some people just need. Whereas I'm a maverick. I'm like, I'm in, we're done, let's do it.
No, exactly, me too.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh, I love it. Christina, if there was one thing you could do without any fear of failure, what would you do?
I would say start a podcast because I'm going to start a podcast. In
Yes.
fact, when
Right.
this goes out, I've probably already started my podcast because I've been planning and plotting it for a long time now. But yeah, one of the things I love, as I said before, is, people taking that leap and changing their lives. And, I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. And it's amazing. So what I really want to do is I want to start interviewing people who have literally started businesses and grown them into empires, like through different ways to sort of encourage like children, adults who want to do something else, to give them ideas about what they can do and to see stories of people who've actually done it as well. But yeah, I guess there's always that fear of failure, like nobody's going to listen. But I think sometimes you just have to just do it anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I think that leap of faith that squashes the fear, if you can get there, is that at the start, it doesn't really matter if people listen or not, because you've got something to say and you need somebody to find it. They won't find it. Someone really needs to hear what it is that you're going to put on that podcast, but they won't find it unless you put it out there to find.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. It's really funny actually. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to start this podcast. What I really need to do is work on my personal brand, because what I've done is I've always worked on building the business. So I've built Popolo, but I've never, personal branding didn't really used to be a thing, did it? You used to go onto social media to go, oh, look, kid's first day at school. Look at the lovely holiday I've just been on. Happy birthday, mum, you know? Whereas now it's very much about personal brand, and people want to know what you do and the person behind the story, as it were. I was at Jenny's event, funny enough. He's the franchisor at Daisy First Aid, and I got talking to a branding expert, and she was telling me you really need to work on your personal brand if you're gonna launch this podcast. So I was on my way back. I was at the train station waiting for the train back to London. And I was thinking, I was having a look at my phone. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to have to work on my personal brand. I was having a look at some people's profiles. And this girl walked past and she was looking for a table. And I said, oh, here, you can sit here. I'm going for the train in a minute. So I have my table. And she's like, oh, right, thanks, bitch. And she had to sit down. And we just got chatting. And she's like, oh, I'm probably on your train. Are you going to Newcastle? I'm like, yeah, yeah. She's like, oh, yeah, I think I'm going to be on your train. She looks really familiar. Did I used to work with this girl? And then I twigged. I was like, did you used to be on Gogglebox? She's like, 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, because I don't really watch that much TV. So, like, I could vaguely remember that she was on Gogglebox. And I said, I'm really sorry. You've probably done loads of stuff since then. Got chat in school. I've done a few things. Anyway, it turns out it's Scarlett Moffat. And she's like, won the jungle. She's like... When the jungle, she's been on, like, what's it called? The, not Strictly Ballroom. What's it called? You know, the dancing one?
Yeah, Strictly Come Dancing.
Strictly Dancing Slam. She's been on lots of stuff. And I'm like, I bet you've got a huge following for personal brand. She's like, I've got a few. She had like 2.4 million. I'm like, just a few then. Do you know what? She was so nice. She's actually going to come on the podcast as well.
So you're going to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, she's amazing. So we got the train back together, and I literally sat with her the whole train journey, and she was just lovely. But I thought, isn't it so funny? Like, you never know who you're going to meet, do you?
I think the universe gives you who you need, right? I'm not a spiritual person or particularly religious, but I genuinely think that the universe gives you what you need. And this was proved to me twice last week, actually. So I was at a big event up in, where was I? I was in Manchester, and I spoke to loads of people, but not in depth. So like 2 of the like 4 people that I spoke to that I didn't know before in depth. One of them does exactly what I need to hire in my business. So hopefully we can.
Wow.
And the other one needed me. So we sat down, we'd met at a previous event, and she said, oh, I recognise you. Like, I was like, what do you do now? And she was telling me I'm a bit stuck. And I was like, you need to do this. I know better, but like, I recognise this. And she was like, oh, you see the penny just drop. So I needed to be there for her, and I needed to be there to talk to the other one. And, you know, I could have spoke to hundreds of people that day, but I think the universe gives you what you need. And you just needed Scarlett Moffat that day.
Yeah, it's true. It is the universe talking to you. It's like, it is so funny.
Yeah, it is. That's amazing. And you're so right, like personal brand. I think as a franchisor, like up until like the last couple of years, you could really just hide behind the brand because it was all about like buy the brand and people buying into the brand. But now you've got to be so much more visible because social media doesn't really exist how us millennials think about social media existing anymore. So yeah, you're bang on the money there. But yeah, I'm really excited about the podcast. That's going to be awesome, really awesome. And regardless of the fear, do it anyway, right? What do you lose?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Love
Sorry,
it.
Tracy, sorry, Stace, can you hear my dog? She's going nuts. I'm like, do you know what it is? I'm like, isn't it typical? She's been quiet all day, but no, the second I'm on the podcast, she thought, oh, hello, bark.
It's because we talking about pets earlier. She's like, hang on, don't forget me. Awesome. Christina, we could chat all day. We probably will, but we'll end the recording. Tell everyone how they can reach you. So for the upcoming podcast and for Popolo.
Yeah, perfect. So, Popolo Ceramico, it's an unusual name. You'll probably, if you do a search on it, should be the only one that comes up on Google. My name's Christina Taylor-Chisholm. I've got the longest name in the world. There's only one of me as well. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on all of the other things. I'll be on TikTok soon, which I'm dreading, but apparently I need to do it. My daughter's very excited about it because, well, actually, no, she's not excited. She's like, just Like,
Great.
don't tag me or my friends, yeah. But yeah, just do a search. You can find me anywhere. My new podcast is going to be called Build It, Brand It, Sell It. That'll be out soon. And yeah, I think that's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. We'll put all the links in the show notes, and go and give Christina a follow. She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Christina, thank you so much for your time today. I've loved chatting to you. I've loved the tangents that we've gone on as well. See, when
Oh,
we
it's
get fun, they're
brilliant.
like,
It's been
"What are we talking
brilliant.
about?" Like, we'll just figure it out. It's great. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's it for this week. I will see you guys all next week.